Okay, defeated the Elite Four. Now just gotta take on the champion, Cynthia. Spirit Tomb. Okay, he's a little stronger than me, but that's okay. Just gotta find out what type it is and what it's weak to. It has no weaknesses? Hey everybody, and welcome back to this series where we look at Pokemon games and decide which game had the best features, the worst features, which is the best game. Last time, we looked at Gen 3, Ruby Sapphire, Fire Red and Leaf Green, and Emerald. First remakes and a lot of new features from Ruby and Sapphire, so if you missed that, you might want to get caught up. Hit the bell so you know when these episodes go up, and as always, link in the description. So what's next for the franchise? Well, the Nintendo DS is the new console everyone's talking about. 2 screens, one is a touchscreen. Can't wait to see how they implement that into Pokemon. Cut to 2 years later, Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. Would it be better than the last? Well, let's dive in. Pokemon took full advantage of the touchscreen. The battle menu appeared there, and in the overworld you had the Pokétech, the Pokégear or Pokénav, which would do similar things as before, but new features were added as you played the game. Super important ones like a calculator, kitchen timer, counter so you can count, I guess. Really important stuff. But there was also some actual useful features. Daycare checker, Pokemon checker. The move tester lets you simulate type scenarios. Choose a type to fight and a type or two to fight against. Pretty cool. The best one was the Poke Radar, which would help guarantee a specific Pokemon encounter. A good use for the bottom screen for sure. Some little changes were made that, while small, made the game appear far nicer and streamlined. The day and night cycle returned, and now it had 5 time periods: morning, day, afternoon, evening, and night. Bikes can now switch gears to be faster like the Mac bike. Contests improved, and a big one, Pokemon moves were classified to be special, physical, and status. Before this, the type of move, water, fighting, flying, etc. would determine whether a move is physical or special. For example, all fire type moves were special and all ground type moves were physical. Now, if a move makes physical contact, then it's considered a physical move, and moves that didn't, like Flamethrower, were special. This isn't a small, insignificant change. This meant that Pokemon with a high attack stat would benefit from having more physical type moves rather than certain typed moves. A big battle strategy changer, and I'm all for it. A big deal in this game was the Global Trade feature. In Global Trade, you can request a trade of any Pokemon you've seen in the game, and offer a Pokemon to trade in return, and trade with anyone in the world. Although most of the time people would ask for a legendary in exchange for a Bidoof, and shockingly, people wouldn't go for it. Overall, this was an exciting feature, and cool to see what the DS was capable of. One of my new favourite features was the Underground. Similar to secret bases where you could decorate, you could also explore the underground and mine for spheres and fossils. You could connect with others and mine together and steal each other's flags for a bit of friendly competition. I loved it, and it was also fun to connect with others that was more than just battling. I also made a friend once on holiday because I was playing Pokemon by the pool, not reading or swimming like a normal person, and when I went underground it told me someone else was there. A friendship was made. This is what Pokemon was all about, making friends through the mutual interest of Pokemon. The story, of course, remained mostly the same, with new bad guys Team Galactic. They want the power of either Palkia or Dialga, depending on which game you have, and once again, you have to catch them to stop it. Not bad for a kid who's been doing this for like, a day? Same thing with a slight change really, but it didn't feel like the formula was going stale. There was some new post-game too, which centered more on legendaries, and there were quite a few this time round. And when I found out about all these new legendaries, I was elated. So cool, and more challenging Pokemon to catch. A big improvement this game had to Gen 3 was they figured out how to transfer Pokemon from the Game Boy Advance to the DS, so you could get all your Pokemon back and catch them all. So we had that going for us. There were very few features from previous games that weren't in Diamond and Pearl. It was a shame not to see the Battle Frontier, and still some special Pokeballs from Gen 2 haven't returned, but they brought in new Pokeballs again, like the Quick Ball, which made catching Mesprit a lot easier. I said easier, not a guarantee. This game didn't add many new features, which was a shame. Some new combat features or something would have made the game stand out maybe, but honestly, I enjoyed this game the most. Call it nostalgia, but I think there were some things that made it extra enjoyable, like the underground, but also the battles were hard. Cynthia is famous for how tricky she is, not to mention her Spirit Tomb, which has absolutely no weaknesses. I'm still mad about that. And the starters had turned the tables on each other. Their final forms had dual typings that made it super effective to its usual weakness. Torterra's ground type meant it could destroy Infernape. Infernape's fighting had an upper hand on Empoleon's dual steel type, which in turn helped Empoleon out against Torterra. So it wasn't a classic circle of super effectiveness, it turned back on itself. Really tricky, but at this point in the series, I think more difficult gameplay is needed. At this point, it's time for the deep philosophical question, what came first? The remake or the third installment of Sinnoh? Well, this time, Pokemon Platinum came first. As always, this was an enhancement of Diamond and Pearl and the focus on the box legendary. And this time, Giratina got a new form and story. By the way, I don't know if it's Giratina or Giratina, so I'm just going to go with Giratina. If that upsets you, just get over it, it's fine. You know who I'm talking about. Giratina got a new form and story, the Distortion World. When at Spear Pillar, Cyrus tries to use the power of both legendaries, and in the chaos, Giratina emerges and takes Cyrus with him, and you have to go after him in this weird upside-down world. Here, Giratina has his origin form, which is pretty cool. Rather than the story just swapping out to be Giratina, there's a new plot, and it's interesting. The whole region is colder, and the characters' outfits reflect this, which was cool that the region was slightly different to the first two. Small changes were made, like animations for gym leaders and other key characters. The legendary birds are now roaming Sinnoh, and in this one, Fantino is gym leader number 3, Maylene is gym leader number 4, and Crash Awake is gym leader number 5. In Diamond and Pearl, you arrive at Hearthome City, can't fight the gym leader, then you have to go to Maylene, fight her, then go to Crash Awake, fight him, and then go back to Hearthome in order to fight Fantino. So I think they just streamlined that. The main change is where you can catch Palkia and Dialga. Once you complete the Stark Mountain story, the League Trainers level increase a bit, which was kinda cool because by this point, you're way stronger than them. But most importantly, Battle Frontier is back! It's the Battle Frontier! The main difference is there are now 5 facilities rather than the original 7, but it's as great as it was the first time. A great game, and like Emerald, definitely the superior version. The story and landscape of Sinnoh was changed, and it made it feel like a different game, when really very little had changed. I personally enjoyed the different Rotom forms taking on a different appliance. Now we come to our remake, HeartGold and SoulSilver. We of course would see an old game with some new graphics and new features, but we also saw some new features to the series, the Pokeathlon. The Pokeathlon replaced contests, similar to contests but instead using 5 different stats: speed, power, skill, stamina and jump. These skills gave you an advantage in certain athletic styled events such as hurdle dash, block smash, disc catch and a lot more. It was fun. I don't know why, but I preferred this to the beauty contest, kinda like Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. Moving on, Pokemon can follow you. And not just Pikachu or something, like any Pokemon that exists at this point in the series. You can also talk to them and see how they're feeling. Pokes you in the stomach? How would that look? Because I'm around 4 foot and I think Dialga's like 17 foot, so if he's poking me in the stomach, would it be more like yeah, not as cute as it sounds. Some of the features were just bringing in things from the last 2 generations of games since the original Gold and Silver. Legendaries from other regions are available, and the Johto legendaries play a far more pivotal role in the story and are now mandatory quests in order to progress. In Gold and Silver, they were spoken of, but not necessary in order to complete the game. You can also play as a girl, not Chris from Crystal though, which is when they started letting you choose genders. We did also see the return of apricorns, and in turn, the special balls that you can make out of them, a feature which has only been in Gen 2 and so had to return. As expected, this game didn't change much from Diamond and Pearl. New features were added, but I think it's what the fans wanted. Fire Red and Leaf Green was well received, and people love playing the older games, but updated. They weren't after new features, but an old game with newer features of the previous games. It made it a new game, and made it really enjoyable. To say Pokemon following you was a big appeal is an understatement. It felt so cool having them follow you. And not only this, there was another new feature that was added to the game that, while a bit of a gimmick, was pretty cool. The Pokey Walker. The Pokey Walker was a small, real-world device that you could transfer Pokemon into. You then have it in your pocket, and it would track your steps. Steps taken would increase the Pokemon's XP, and could also allow you to earn a currency known as Watts, which can be used in the Pokey Walker to use the Poke Radar and search for Pokemon, or the dowsing machine, which allows you to find items. So not only do you gain XP, but you can also catch Pokemon on this thing. Some Pokemon which are otherwise unavailable in the game or until later in the story. We're basically talking about a pre-alpha of Pokemon Go. I loved using this with my friends. We would transfer our Pokemon and go for walks in order to catch Pokemon and level up. And it was so fun. Kind of brought the Pokemon experience to life a bit and made me want to walk. Hey! Did Game Freak just trick me into exercising? I think they just managed to trick me into exercising. Sneaky. This This game was so fun. I love Diamond and Pearl, and I love being able to play Gold and Silver with Diamond and Pearl graphics and features. This was so much fun to relive the classic game, and the Pokeathlon was so awesome. Hard to say which I preferred most, really. I think it would have been Sinnoh because I loved the region and the new Pokemon that came with it, and the legendaries. But don't worry, HeartGold and SoulSilver, you're still amazing. Never change. I'm impressed how great these games were, despite really not changing the formula of the game much from Gen 3. It just looked better, and a few things were improved. But now I'm wondering, how could the next generation of games be better? How can it get better than this? Well, to find that out, you're going to want to tune in to the next episode of this Pokemon review series, where we will be looking at Pokemon Black and White. Does this game stand a chance at being the very best, like no game ever was? Find out next time! Hope you liked this video as much as I did. As I said before, this generation is so nostalgic to me, and I seriously love these games, so making this video was a big one for me. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel and hit the bell so you get updated when the next episode goes live. Also, comment what you think about this generation of Pokemon games. Did they do enough to make it better than the last? I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye!